Okay, well, we've made it to the final video. We're going to cover what goes on in the second week, third week, fourth week, etc. As you're in unemployment and when you need to reopen your claim. So, pretty straightforward. Most of the heavy lifting happens in the application period and the first week period, but it's a little bit sort of getting into a groove as you start doing your weekly claims. So keep that in mind. Now you will get a notice similar to the one that you got, asking for more information about reasonable assurance because you're a school employee. You'll get an email from ESD saying you have to complete file your week 1 claim. That will happen on the first day of the second week. So again, that second Sunday, right? So if we're thinking about this as in March of 2020, right? So again, contract ends March 20th. Your first week of unemployment starts on the 22nd. That's Sunday. It ends on the 28th. That's the Saturday. So on the 29th, that begins week 2. Okay? So when you get to week 2, you'll actually file your week 1 claim. So you're always a week behind in a way, right? So during week 1, you had to do 3 job search activities or apply to 3 jobs. In the second week, you will report those job search activities and file your week 1 claim, okay? But also during that same week, you have to do 3 more job search contacts, or applications. So this is why I say you want to keep a log of that information each week. So on Sunday of week 2, you log into the ESD website and it'll tell you you have a weekly claim to file. So you click on that and it'll ask you to enter in the information of those three jobs that you applied to. There's also some other information in there that's pretty straightforward. It's like, did you work? No. Were you available for work? Yes. You have to say yes. Were you physically available and able to work? Yes. Did you I forget exactly how they phrase it, but basically they asked you if you turned down an offer of work. No. Did you complete 3 job search activities? Yes. And then you enter them in. Did you get any payment for work that you did as like a physical laborer? There's all these weird questions. Did you get a payout on a retirement thing? All this kind of stuff. Basically, it's like no to most of it. I will say though, if you do have any kind of other part-time job, you do have to report that. And that will come out of your claim. So I'll give you an example. I haven't done it for a few years, but I used to do private tutoring with high school students, like SAT, test prep kind of stuff. And it wasn't huge. It was, maybe between 5 and 10 hours a week, depending on the week. You can still apply for unemployment from the college when you have a job like that. You just have to report the earnings. So each week that I worked, I might say, okay, so I worked 5 hours last week, and I forget what my pay rate was. I think it was like $35 an hour. So, whatever that was, let's say my weekly benefit was $500, and then I worked, a few hours that would have equaled $100 worth of pay. You have to report that, and then that comes out of your weekly benefit. So keep that in mind. That's part of filling it out. But if you're not doing anything else where you're getting paid, then it's fine. It's not a big deal. Okay, so you file your week 1 claim, and again, if you have direct deposit set up and you file your claim on Sunday, you're usually going to see that direct deposit hit on Tuesday morning. It's usually pretty quick. And then sometime during that second week, so that's Sunday through Saturday, you do 3 more employment search contacts, okay? Now, another word about week 1 is that's known as your waiting week. Okay, so the very first week that you're on unemployment, you still have to complete applications, your 3 job search activities and report them, but you don't get any money for that first week. So when you file your first claim, when it gets processed, you're going to see the amount as 0. Even though they'll tell you what your weekly amount is after you fill out your application. They'll say, oh, you're getting $500 a week, or you're getting $600 a week, or whatever. Again, it's based on how much money you made during that base year. But when you file your week 1 claim during week 2, you'll get 0. That's always the way it is. That's just the way they do it. So the thing to keep in mind is, if you know for certain, if you feel pretty confident that you're going to be teaching in the spring quarter, then probably you don't want to start your claim. You certainly could. It's up to you. But if you start your claim in the 1 week break between winter and spring, you're actually not going to collect anything. The nice thing is you can reopen it right back up when summer starts, or when the spring quarter ends, and then start collecting immediately. But wherever you start, you have 1 week where you're not going to get paid. So I always start my claims every year at the end of the summer quarter. So I have a week after the summer quarter where I have to do the job searches. I don't get any money for it. And then starting in, with my second week claim, my third week claim, that's when I start getting my unemployment. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So in the third week, same thing. At the start of the third week, you'll file your week 2 claim for the 3 job searches you did during week 2. You'll complete 3 more searches during week 3, right? And just keep logging that information, okay? Make sure you're completing all those by Saturday. Same thing, week 3, now you file your week 3 claim in the 4th week. You keep moving on, okay? So you want to continue making those 3 job search contacts every week until you're under contract again, until you're teaching. But remember that you file your claim after that week's over, so you actually will file your final claim during the first week of the new quarter. So you'll still get 1 final unemployment benefit after you've gone back to teaching, because you were unemployed during that week and you did your job searches, so they owe you that money even though you're back at work. Okay? So this claim will report the 3 job contracts you completed during your last week of unemployment, during the last week before the next quarter starts. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, then when you go back, basically you don't have to do anything. Once you're back in teaching, you file that last claim for that last week that you were unemployed, and you don't do anything. You don't have to log back into ESD or anything until the next quarter ends. Okay, so the way this works is essentially, like, let's say it's the summer. Okay, the end of the summer quarter, it's August. You open up your claim, you start your claim. A claim is actually good for an entire year. So you're approved for 1 year's worth of unemployment, although it's not a full year, it's only so many weeks within that year, but you can open your claim back up within that year. So what that means is when you teach, when you go back to teaching, so again, let's say you start your claim in the summer, you go back to teaching in the fall, or you start your claim in the summer, you have several weeks where you collect unemployment, you go back to teaching in the fall, you teach until December, you open that claim back up in December, you can collect unemployment for the weeks that you're out between the 2 quarters. So, it's usually 3 weeks between the fall and the winter quarters, so that's 3 weeks that you can collect unemployment during that time period. And you don't have a waiting week when you reopen an existing claim. So that means that in the week between winter and spring quarter, you can, as long as you're completing your job searches, 3 a week, you can get another week's worth of benefit. Now, what you have to do is you have to log back into ESD once the quarter's over and basically tell them, I'm going to restart my claim to begin filing. There's a link for that when you log in to manage your existing claim. Because since you haven't been filing unemployment for a while, they assume you're working because you're not getting money from them, right? So you just say, restart my claim, do three job searches that week. Next week, put in your claim for that week. You get the same benefit, okay? So when you reopen an existing claim, you don't have a waiting week. That's really, really important, okay? So you have to open a new claim every year. Okay? So whenever you start is when you're going to start every year. So for me, it's in August at the end of the summer quarter. If you start in December at the end of the fall quarter, you'll start every year at that time. And that's when your waiting week will be every year. Okay? So, last page here, just some helpful links. The AFT Washington website has an unemployment toolkit. They've got some more resources available there. ESD actually has a fairly useful couple of websites. The benefits denials and appeals website is useful if you get denied. However, as long as you answer the questions the way I've walked you through them in these videos, and when you get that request for more information because you're a school employee, as long as you provide all that documentation, the RCW, Maloney Creedler ruling, copy of the UF contract adjunct section, copy of your most recent quarterly contract, and a statement that identifies all those things, saying you don't have reasonable assurance, the chances of you getting denied are slim. I'm not saying it won't ever happen. It could, but the more you sort of show them all the different ways that it's indicated to adjuncts that we don't have reasonable assurance, the less likely you are to be denied. And even if you are denied, you can always appeal. Okay, and then just some general information about unemployment here, and then of course the SAW website. So there you go. That's everything I got on unemployment. Again, if you do have specific questions, feel free to email me, jpyle@greenriver.edu, and I'll do my best to help you out. So good luck to everyone as we chart this difficult time ahead of us. And if you're watching this video and it's not March of 2020, hopefully we've gotten through it all. So anyway, good luck everyone.